On 13 March 2015, the auction house Künker is going to sell a special collection of coins from the Roman Republic, including rarities of all kinds in auction sale number 262. The coin motifs beautifully illustrate ancient sources which have survived from this epoch. The historical contexts of some of the coin motifs are well known to us, and today we would like to share our knowledge with you in this film. At some time between 211 and 207, the Roman Senate decided on the most comprehensive coin reform in Roman history. The reform was caused by the war against Hannibal. By then, however, the war had already turned in favor of the Romans. They had taken back Syracuse and carried off a large booty. The Roman treasury had enough silver and gold available to mint new coins on a large scale. One new denomination, the denarius, was a truly trend-setting invention. The name is derived from its value. The Roman numeral on the obverse tells us that each denarius has the equivalent value of 10 asses. The quinarius was designated with the numeral 5 to indicate its value of 5 asses. The coin obverse depicts a female head, which is identifiable as a goddess of war thanks to her winged helmet. Numismatists have acquired a habit of referring to this goddess as Roma, although it is unlikely that the depiction was in fact meant to portray Roma. In 211 BC, after all, Roma was not yet an object of worship in Rome. It is thus more likely that we are dealing with Bologna, a more ancient war goddess, whose temple played an important role in the ritual entry into a war. The declaration of war was played out symbolically by the officials, who threw blood-covered spears from there onto the figurative enemy territory. The reverse of early denarii is decorated with the dioscuri, castor, and pollux. Since they had supported the Roman army in the legendary battle against the exiled king Tarquinius Superbus, they were worshipped as spirits protecting the Republic in times of war. A popular spot on the Roman Forum was the spring that their horses had drunk from. Right beside it was the Temple of the Dioscuri, which was one of the most important edifices in the early Republic. Responsibility for the Roman coinage lay with the monetary magistrates. The magistrates were young men about to climb the first rung of the career ladder. They had the right to decide on coin motifs and naturally chose them in a way that promoted their own career. This denarius was minted under the supervision of one Titus Carisius. With the depiction, he celebrates himself for having minted an unusually large amount of coins ordered by Caesar in a minimum of time. That came close to a logistic miracle. And Carisius reminds us of this masterly achievement by choosing to depict minting tools on the coin reverse. You can see the anvil, into which the specific die was inserted, the pair of tongs used to place the planchets on the die, and the hammer. The pileus, Vulcan's oval cap, is depicted above the anvil. After all, this god could be considered something like the patron saint of the mint. Another deity tied to the mint was Juno Moneta. The mint was located next to her temple, so that her epithet came to be used for the coins produced there. Our word money originated here in the Roman Republic. Due to their young age when holding the office, monetary magistrates usually did not yet have much to show for, so they made reference to their ancestors instead. This was not surprising, given the fact that the Romans believed virtues were inheritable, and thus stayed in the family over generations. This denarius was issued by one Marcus Aemilius Lepidus, who was of the same name as his ancestor, one of the most prominent politicians of the 2nd century BC. This ancestor had performed his first heroic deed at the early age of 15, as the circumscription informs us. Marcus Lepidus annorum quindecim praetextatus hostem occidit sivem servavit. Or, in English, Marcus Lepidus killed an enemy and thereby saved the life of a Roman citizen at the age of 15, before he was even wearing a man's toga. For this heroic deed, an honorific statue was erected in the center of Rome, on the Capitoline Hill, where it was seen by Roman civilians every day. You can see it on this coin. Quintus Pomponius Musa, whose family line goes back to Numa Pompilius, the second king of Rome, went back much further into the past. It is said that the son of this Numa built the Temple of the Muses. The monetary magistrate makes reference to this temple by using motifs similar to the statues in the actual shrine. There was, for instance, Calliope with her lyre, the muse of epic poetry and string music. Or Clio with her scroll of parchment, the muse of history. Not to forget Melpomene, the muse of tragedy, who is holding a mask in her left hand. All of these statues originally came from the temple of Hercules Musarum, a temple of the Aetolians in Ambracia. The Romans had removed the statues from their original home after their victory in 189 and brought them to Rome to inspire Roman poets and thinkers. On his coin, monetary magistrate Quintus Cassius Longinus celebrates his ancestor, Lucius Cassius Longinus Revila. The latter had come to considerable fame as a defender of traditional Roman virtue. He had been elected by the People's Assembly to review the case of 3 Vestal virgins who had been accused of unchastity. Therefore, the veiled bust of Vesta on the obverse. The reverse shows her temple, whose ruins can still be found on the Roman Forum today. In the temple, there's the curule seat, symbol for all those offices with the power to judge. To the right, you can see 2 tablets, inscribed with an A and a C, respectively. A stands for absolvo, I acquit you. C for condemno, I pronounce you guilty. To the left, you can see the ballot box, the container in which the voting tablets were collected. Revila was responsible for the conviction of 2 of the 3 Vestal virgins. The women were buried alive. In the Roman Republic, this judiciary rigor was not at all negatively perceived. On the contrary, it could win someone the favor of the masses. This coin was minted by an ancestor of Caius Coelius Caldus. The young man uses a portrait of an ancestor for the motif on the obverse. This particular ancestor had managed to become the first consul of the Colli Caldi family in 94 BC. The denarius was minted a good 40 years later. Still, the portrait seems incredibly alive. This is due to the fact that the family had kept a painted wax portrait of Caius Coelius Caldus in a cupboard in the family mansion, like all the other Roman families of importance did with the wax portraits of their ancestors. All these houses were incredibly proud of their wax portraits. Only men who held the office of an aedile or a higher rank would get their death mask in wax. The Roman art of creating realistic portraits originates here. No wonder this first portrait of a living Roman was indeed close to the real person, but not necessarily flattering. It is a portrait of Caesar from the year of his assassination, which brings us to the coinage of Roman imperators, which, at least today, does not interest us. We, the Auction House Künker, would like to invite you to our March Auction Sale 2015. If we have sparked your interest with this film, we cordially invite you to join us at our Auction Sale 262 on 13 March. Please do not hesitate to contact us should you have any further questions.